If you make decent money but constantly feel broke, you're not crazy. You're likely making one of 7 invisible money mistakes. Let me show you how this happens. This is Max, 28 years old, university graduate, works a decent job, makes $3,400 a month after tax, pays his rent on time, never misses a bill, buys his groceries, avoids the obvious traps. By every measure, Max is responsible. And yet, right now, at this exact moment, Max has $214 in his savings account. He has $7,800 spread across 3 different debts. And when his friend asked him last week what his financial plan looked like, Max changed the subject. Not because he doesn't care, because he genuinely does not understand how this happened. He is doing everything he was told to do, and he is still losing. Here is the part nobody tells you. Max is not unusual. Max is the rule. Studies show that nearly 6 in 10 adults cannot cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing money. Not because they are lazy, not because they earn too little, but because there are 7 specific money mistakes quietly running in the background of their financial lives, draining everything before they even notice. Today we are going to follow Max's story. We're going to name every single one of those mistakes. We're going to show you exactly how they work against you. And we're going to give you a same-day action plan to stop every one of them. By the end of this video, you will understand your money in a way nobody ever bothered to teach you. This is MIMS Finance, where we make it make sense. Before we get into the 7 mistakes, you need to understand something important. These mistakes are not accidents. They are not random. They follow a pattern, and that pattern has a name. The villain in Max's story, and possibly yours, is not overspending. It is not laziness. It is not even a lack of income. The villain is silent financial erosion. Silent financial erosion is what happens when a series of small, invisible, completely normalized money habits work together over time to consume everything you earn before you ever get the chance to build anything with it. Think of it like a bucket with 7 small holes in the bottom. You keep filling the bucket. The water looks stable from the top, but underneath, everything is quietly leaking out. You never see a dramatic flood. You never experience one catastrophic moment. You just look down one day and wonder why the bucket is empty. That is what these 7 mistakes do to your finances. Individually, each one seems manageable. Together, they're the reason most people arrive at 35 with almost nothing to show for a decade of hard work. And here is what makes this particularly dangerous. The system that profits from your financial confusion has absolutely no incentive whatsoever to point these holes out to you. We will come back to exactly why that is. But first, let's get into the mistakes. Because once you can see them, you cannot unsee them. The first mistake is one almost nobody catches, and it is quietly breaking every budget you have ever tried to build. Living on your gross income instead of your net. Most people build their entire financial life around a number that does not exist. Your gross income, the salary figure on your contract, the number you tell people at dinner, is not your real income. It is a fiction. By the time tax, pension contributions, and deductions are removed, the actual money that lands in your account can be 25 to 35% lower than the number you think of as your salary. Imagine planning a road trip based on a full tank of fuel, but someone already used a quarter of that tank before you got in the car. You plan your route, calculate your stops, and set off confidently. Then you run out of fuel 40 miles short of your destination. That is exactly what happens when you budget on gross income. You are planning with money you never actually had. Max earns $4,800 a month gross. He thinks of himself as someone who earns $4,800 a month. His entire lifestyle, his rent, his subscriptions, his social spending was quietly calibrated around that $4,800 figure. But after deductions, $3,400 hits his account. Every single month Max is planning with $1,400 that does not exist. Over a year, that is $16,800 in phantom income he's been budgeting around. No wonder the numbers never add up. This mistake is so common because employers, job advertisements, and even salary comparison websites almost always quote gross figures. We are trained from our first job to think of our worth in gross terms. The result is a permanent gap between what we think we earn and what we actually have available to spend, save, and invest. Here is exactly what you do tonight. Open your last 3 bank statements right now. Calculate the average amount that actually lands in your account each month. Write that number down. That is your real income. Every financial decision you make from this point forward starts with that number, not the one on your contract. A 2023 survey found that 74% of people who describe themselves as financially responsible have never calculated their actual monthly take-home average. They are managing a budget built on a number they have never verified. You are now in the 26% who have. The second mistake is what turns every raise you ever get into a lie you tell yourself. Lifestyle inflation after every raise. Getting a raise feels like progress. In reality, for most people, a raise is just an upgrade to the size of their lifestyle, with no actual improvement to their financial position. Lifestyle inflation is like running on a treadmill that speeds up every time you do. You are working harder. You feel like you're moving faster, but you are still in exactly the same place. The treadmill of your expenses simply matched your pace the moment you increased it. 18 months ago, Max got a $600 per month raise. He was genuinely excited. He deserved it. And within 90 days, almost without noticing, his rent had gone up by $200 because he moved to a better apartment. His car payment increased by $180 because he upgraded his vehicle, and his monthly entertainment spending drifted up by roughly $150 because he felt like he had earned it. His raise was $600. His new expenses were $530. He saved an additional $70 per month from a $600 raise and felt richer without being richer. Lifestyle inflation is invisible because it happens gradually and it always feels justified. A better apartment makes sense after a raise. A newer car makes sense after a raise. Eating out more often makes sense after a raise. Each individual decision is reasonable. The collective pattern is devastating. Your expenses have a natural gravitational pull toward your income. Without a deliberate system to intercept the raise before lifestyle absorbs it, the money disappears before it ever had a chance to build anything. So here is the one rule that changes this permanently. And once you apply it, every future raise actually moves you forward instead of just making your lifestyle more expensive. The moment you receive any income increase, raise, bonus, side income, automate a transfer of at least 50% of that increase directly to savings or investment before you adjust your lifestyle by a single dollar. You never see it. You never miss it. And for the first time, a raise actually changes your financial position instead of just upgrading your expenses. We are 2 mistakes in, and already Max is beginning to understand where his money has been going. But mistakes 3 and 4 are the ones that hit differently, because they're the ones people defend most aggressively. Stay with us. The third mistake is the one the financial industry is most invested in making sure you never fully understand. Treating credit as an extension of income. Credit is one of the most dangerous financial tools in existence. Not because it is inherently bad, but because it is designed to feel like money you already have. Using credit as income is like borrowing someone else's umbrella on a sunny day and forgetting you have to give it back the moment it starts raining. Everything feels fine while the weather is good. But the second your financial situation gets difficult, the umbrella disappears and you are standing in the storm without any protection, owing money you borrowed during the good times. Max has 2 credit cards. Together, they give him access to $8,500 in credit. Psychologically, even though he would never admit this, that $8,500 exists as a background comfort, a safety net, an extension of his financial identity. Over the past 2 years, he has paid them down multiple times, but the balance never stays at zero. Today, it sits at $4,200. The minimum payments alone cost him $126 every single month. Money that leaves his account and builds absolutely nothing. Over 5 years at his current pattern, Max will pay over $3,800 in interest alone on purchases he no longer even remembers making. Credit card companies are extraordinarily sophisticated at making credit feel like your own money. Rewards programs, cashback incentives, and seamless tap-to-pay technology all remove the psychological friction of spending. The result is that most people spend measurably more when using credit than when using cash. Studies consistently show increases of 12 to 18% in average transaction values. The product is not the credit. The product is the feeling of abundance, and you pay interest for that feeling every single month. Here is a number worth sitting with. The average person in their 30s will pay between $40,000 and $60,000 in consumer interest over their lifetime on purchases that added zero lasting value to their lives. That is not a mortgage. That is not an investment. That is the cost of making everyday purchases feel painless. Now here is the part most people hear and still do not do. Do not be most people. Here is exactly what changes this. Audit every recurring credit card charged this week. Identify which purchases you made on credit in the last 90 days that you could have made from your actual income. Calculate the total interest cost of your current balance at your card's annual rate. Then set a non-negotiable rule. Credit is for planned purchases you can pay in full before the statement closes. Nothing else. The fourth mistake has nothing to do with numbers and everything to do with the state you are in when you make financial decisions. Making financial decisions in emotional states. Your emotions are not neutral observers of your financial life. They are active participants, and they are expensive ones. Making financial decisions when you're stressed, excited, or anxious is like going grocery shopping when you're starving. You know the rules. You know what you need. But your brain is operating on a completely different set of priorities in that moment. And everything in the store suddenly looks like something you cannot live without. The trolley fills up. The bill is shocking. And half of what you bought is gone by Tuesday. 3 months ago, Max had a brutal week at work. Pressure from his manager, a project that went sideways, and a Friday evening where everything felt heavier than it should. By Saturday afternoon, he had spent $340 on things he did not need. New trainers, a gadget he saw on Instagram, 2 rounds of drinks he insisted on buying for friends to feel generous and in control. By Sunday evening, the emotional high had passed. The $340 was gone. And Max felt worse, not better, because the financial stress that triggered the spending was now compounded by the guilt of the spending itself. Emotional spending is not a character flaw. It is a neurological response. When stress hormones rise, the brain's reward circuitry actively seeks relief through immediate gratification. Spending triggers a dopamine response that temporarily reduces stress. This is why retail therapy feels real in the moment. It is. The problem is that the relief is short-lived and the financial consequence is permanent. The pattern repeats because the root stress is never addressed, only temporarily sedated. You cannot stop emotions, but you can build a wall between your emotions and your wallet. Here is what that wall looks like in practice. Create a 48-hour rule for any non-essential purchase above $50. When the impulse to spend arises, write the item down, set a 48-hour timer, and do not purchase until the timer expires. In the emotional spending research, this single intervention reduces impulse purchases by over 60%. Most of the time, the desire disappears completely before the 48 hours are up. Now you might be thinking, these first 4 mistakes are about personal habits. What does this have to do with business or relationships? Everything. Because mistakes 5 and 6 are where the personal and the financial collide in ways that can set you back by years. The 5th mistake is the one that turns every unexpected moment in your life into a financial emergency. No separation between personal and business money. If you run any kind of business, a side hustle, a freelance operation, a small company, and your business money and personal money share the same account, you do not have a business. You have an expensive hobby with a logo. Mixing personal and business money is like cooking 2 different recipes in the same pot simultaneously. You cannot taste either one properly. You cannot tell which ingredient is making it good or which one is ruining it. And when it all goes wrong, and eventually it will, you cannot figure out what to fix because everything is already mixed together. Max runs a small design side hustle on weekends. Last year, it generated $9,200 in revenue. He is proud of that number. But because every client payment lands in his personal account alongside his salary, and every business expense leaves the same account alongside his rent and groceries, Max has never actually calculated whether his side hustle is profitable. When he finally sat down to work it out, he discovered his business expenses, software, equipment, a short course, totaled $6,800. His actual profit was $2,400 for a full year of weekend work. He had no idea. The mixing of money made the truth invisible. When business and personal finances share the same space, accurate tracking becomes impossible. You cannot calculate real profit. You cannot identify which expenses are tax deductible. You cannot see cash flow clearly. And critically, you cannot protect your personal finances from business risk. If the business hits a difficult period and starts drawing from the shared account, your rent, your savings, and your personal stability are all directly exposed. This one has a starting point so simple, almost sounds too small to matter. Do it anyway. Here is where you begin tonight. Open a separate business account this week. It does not need to be a formal business account immediately. A separate personal account used exclusively for business transactions is enough to start. Every business payment goes in. Every business expense comes out. Your personal account never touches it. This single separation will give you more financial clarity about your business than any spreadsheet or accounting software. The sixth mistake is the quietest one on this list. And depending on your relationship status right now, it may be the most expensive. Ignoring the cost of financial incompatibility. This mistake is for anyone in a relationship, dating, living together, engaged, or married. And it is the mistake most people only discover when it is already expensive. Meet Aisha, 27 years old, disciplined with money, saves 20% of her income every month, has $14,000 sitting in a savings account she is building toward a property deposit. Aisha has been in a relationship for 2 years with someone who views money completely differently. He earns a similar income, but he saves nothing. He believes money is for living, for experiences, for enjoying the present, for being generous. Neither of them is wrong as a philosophy, but together they are financially incompatible, and neither of them is said out loud yet. Financial incompatibility is the second leading cause of relationship breakdown globally, sitting just behind infidelity. And unlike infidelity, it is almost always completely avoidable with one honest conversation. Financial incompatibility in a relationship is like two people rowing a boat in opposite directions. Individually, each person is working hard and rowing well. Together, they're simply spinning in circles, exhausted, frustrated, and confused about why they're not moving forward. The problem is never the effort. It is the direction. Over 2 years, Aisha has quietly subsidized $6,300 in shared expenses, dinners, holidays, spontaneous plans that were beyond her financial comfort level, but within his because he had no savings goals pulling in the other direction. She never said anything because she did not want to seem controlling about money. He never noticed because from his perspective, they were simply enjoying life together. The relationship is under surface tension neither of them has named. And Aisha's property deposit is $6,300 further away than it should be. Financial incompatibility compounds silently because money conversations carry enormous emotional weight. They feel like attacks on character, judgments about values, or threats to the relationship's harmony. So they get avoided. And every month they are avoided, the financial misalignment costs one or both partners real money, in subsidized expenses, in delayed goals, and in the resentment that builds when one person feels their financial future is being quietly eroded by the relationship. You cannot fix what you never discuss. So here is exactly how to have this conversation without it turning into a fight. Sit down and answer 3 specific questions together. What are our individual financial goals for the next 3 years? What are our shared financial goals? And how do we want to handle shared expenses in a way that works for both of us? That conversation, as uncomfortable as it might feel, is worth more to your financial future than any investment strategy. The 7th mistake is the one behind Max's $214 balance tonight. And it is the one that will make the most people watching this uncomfortable, because from the outside it looks exactly like success. Confusing being busy with building wealth. This is the final mistake, and it is the one that ties all the others together. Most people in their late 20s and early 30s are the busiest they have ever been in their lives. Full-time work, side projects, social obligations, relationships, family, an endless stream of things demanding their time and energy. And most of them are financially stagnant, not because they're not working hard enough, because being busy without financial strategy is just an expensive activity. Confusing busyness with wealth building is like mistaking movement for direction. A person running in a circle is moving constantly. Their heart rate is up. They're sweating. They're genuinely working hard, but they're ending every lap in exactly the same place they started. Wealth does not reward effort alone. It rewards effort pointed in the right direction. Max works 47 hours a week on average. He has a side hustle. He attends networking events. He is genuinely one of the hardest working people in his social circle. And he has $214 in savings. Because not one of those hours has been directed by a financial strategy. He earns, spends, and calls this cycle productivity. The motion is real. The progress is an illusion. Busyness creates a psychological substitute for financial progress. When we are occupied, we feel productive. When we feel productive, we assume we are moving forward. This assumption removes the urgency to sit down, review the numbers, and ask the uncomfortable question, is all of this activity actually building anything? For most people, the answer, when they finally ask it honestly, is no. And this is where we come back to what we promised at the start. The system that profits from your financial confusion. The banks, the credit companies, the lifestyle brands, they benefit enormously from you being too busy to think strategically about money. A busy person who earns well and spends freely is their most profitable customer. Slowing down to build a financial strategy is not laziness. It is the most disruptive thing you can do to a system designed to keep you running in circles. Hard work deserves a direction. Here is the simplest system that gives your efforts somewhere to actually go. Block 2 hours this weekend. Not to earn, not to work, not to hustle, but to sit with your finances and build a simple one-page financial strategy. Your real monthly income, your fixed expenses, your savings target, your debt elimination timeline. 2 hours once a month spent on this single activity will produce more financial progress than 200 extra hours of unfocused work. Now you might be thinking, if these mistakes are this common and this damaging, why does nobody teach this? The answer is straightforward, and it is not comfortable. Financial literacy is not taught in schools because it was never added to the curriculum in any serious way. Financial institutions profit from financially confused customers. People who carry balances, pay minimum payments, accept high interest rates, and never question the terms they agreed to. Lifestyle brands profit from the psychological pressure to upgrade every time income rises. The entire consumer economy is calibrated around the assumption that you will earn more and spend more in lockstep, and that you will never pause long enough to notice the pattern. This information is not secret. It is just inconvenient for the people who profit from you not having it. Which is exactly why this channel exists, to keep no secrets hidden. Max now knows what has been happening to his money. And so do you. Here is your same-day action plan. 5 steps. Execute at least 3 of them before you sleep tonight. Step 1. Calculate your real income. Open your last 3 bank statements. Average the amount that actually landed in your account each month. Write that number at the top of a blank page. This is your financial starting point. Every decision from today starts here. Step 2. Find your silent leaks. Go through your last 30 days of transactions and categorize every expense into 3 columns. Essential, intentional, and accidental. Accidental expenses are the ones you did not consciously choose. Subscriptions you forgot about. Impulse purchases, convenient spending. Add up the accidental column. That number is your monthly leak. Step 3. Intercept your next income increase. Decide right now, before the next raise or bonus arrives, what percentage you will automatically redirect to savings before lifestyle adjusts. Write down the number. 50% is the target. 30% is the minimum. Step 4. Separate your money if you have a business. If you run any side income or business, open a separate account this week. Transfer any business-related income or expenses to it immediately. Start clean from this point forward. Step 5. Schedule the money conversation. If you're in a relationship, put a date in the calendar this month for a dedicated money conversation. Use the 3 questions from mistake 6 as your agenda. Keep it calm. Keep it specific. Keep it focused on goals, not blame. 6 months from now, Max has done all 5 steps. His real income is clear. His budget is built on $3,400, not $4,800. His lifestyle inflation is intercepted. The $400 raise he received 3 months ago went 50% to savings before his expenses saw a single dollar of it. His credit card balance has dropped from $4,200 to $1,100. His side hustle now has its own account, and for the first time, Max can see that with 2 adjustments to his pricing, it becomes genuinely profitable. His savings account has grown from $214 to $3,850. Not because his income changed dramatically, because the 7 holes in his bucket got fixed one by one. Max is no longer running in circles. He is moving in a direction. And so are you, starting today. Before you go, drop one thing in the comments. Which of these 7 mistakes hit closest to home for you? Not for anyone else. For you specifically. The MIMS finance community is building something real here, and that honesty in the comments helps every single person who watches this video after you. If this video made something click that never clicked before, subscribe. Because in our next video, we are covering the exact money conversation every couple must have before combining finances. The one most people avoid until it costs them everything. You do not want to miss that one. This is MIMS Finance, where we make it make sense